Now, are we therefore, is this a fair conclusion to draw from what you've just said? Is the panic around automation, which is on every magazine cover, too great or just wrongly targeted?
Oh, that's a weird one. And that's another one I think let me say, so the basic idea of Keynesian economics at a sort of cosmic level is that often the economy is depressed for reasons that are not deep. There just is not enough spending. For whatever reason, you just don't have enough demand out there, and you can restore full employment by just creating more demand. Keynes had this great essay in 1930 about the Great Depression, which was unfolding, and he said, there's nothing wrong with the car, there's nothing wrong with the engine, we have magneto trouble, which he meant this little, I get more or less the alternator, that it's this tiny little, and it's a small technical problem with vast consequences. People find that really hard to accept. The idea that something like mass unemployment, something like what the world looked like in 2010, 2011, could be something that required just a technical fix, just let's go out there and spend some money and get people back to work, I think offends a lot of people's sensibility. They think that large problems must have large causes, and they can't be such an easy solution. And so there's always this tendency to say that must be something big. It must be that robots are taking away all the jobs. But first of all, we've been there before. This has been a complaint many, many times. If robots were doing all the work, so we don't need workers, then the workers remaining ought to have very high productivity. And what we actually have, even in my country and even more here, you have the lowest productivity growth we've seen in generations. So the robot story is just not, the technological unemployment story is just completely at odds with the data. I'm going to go on a bit on this. I think part of the point is that we've had big things of automation before, big cases where particular types of jobs are eliminated by technology. But in the past, they've tended to be blue-collar jobs, and people like us don't notice that. So New York, I live in New York. New York used to have hundreds of thousands of longshoremen. Now they're all gone. There's a couple of dozen gigantic cranes over in Elizabeth, New Jersey, that do the work that those 200,000 longshoremen used to do. That's a huge technological displacement. Of course, other jobs materialized, but it didn't make a big impact. But a lot of what we see now is we see computer translation, so we see AI, machine learning. We see high-tech stuff which affects high-skilled people whom we might actually know. Yeah. And so we make a big deal of it. But the fact of the matter is, it's not the actual amount of displacement going on now is actually much less than happened to lots of ordinary workers in the past.
Do you think it will, automation, will it change the nature of work, notwithstanding your point about the totals, will it change the nature of work significantly?
Well,
or is that just something that happens anyway?
That happens anyway. If we look at in the U.S., sorry. I know my numbers for the U.S.
That's fine.
So if you look at the 10 fastest growing occupations in the U.S., 8 of them are basically some kind of nursing, right? So if we actually look, where are the jobs? A lot of it is healthcare. A lot of it is personal care. It's and which is fine. Those are real jobs, and in fact, they happen to be jobs that, at least for now and probably for some time to come, we can't actually have done by robots. So nothing wrong with that. It's yes. There are a lot fewer people making stuff.
Yeah.
But that's happened before as well. We used to have, most people were farmers, and these days we actually no longer even keep a number on the number of farmers in the U.S. because there are so few. But we know that there are fewer people farming than there are people playing World of Warcraft. So so that's just sort of. But we found other stuff to do, and so manufacturing is now something like 8% of the workforce. Mostly because we're just so good at it. We don't need a lot of people to do it, but there are lots of other things to do, and we haven't at all run out of things for people to do. But my point here is